You're listening to an Awkward Human podcast on the 5x5 network. If you want to find out more about this show and all the other cool stuff that we do, visit awkwardhuman.com. Hello and welcome to the Awkward Human Survival Guide. This week we're talking about my bad breath.
A 5-year initiation failure.
And how do I make friends? I don't get it.
No one gets it. Hello and welcome to the episode. I'm Adam Dotchis.
I'm Erica in her prime Elson.
She wishes.
And I'm joined today by Richard, not so much in his prime Cardenas.
I'm definitely not on my part. So earlier today, we went to a restaurant called Din Tai Fung, DTF, and I was looking at my phone afterwards, and I was like, oh, wow, I got a lot of steps in today at the mall. And I said, I started before the mall with 16 steps. We went at like 5:30.
Yeah, but he said it in a way where I thought there was going to be more. He's like, well, earlier today I was at 16, and I thought he was going to say 100, which is fairly low, but you know, a normal person's lazy day.
So for you to say I'm not in my prime, yes. That is correct.
Very correct.
Yeah.
But I'm in my prime, so it's all good.
I mean, okay.
Adam, who do you think is more in their prime, me or Richard?
I don't give a shit an answer I can give. I don't even know how to judge that.
Well, he doesn't sleep with you, so he doesn't really know, you know?
Is that the only way to tell someone's in their prime?
If it's a sex drive issue, then she wins for sure.
Oh, I am in my prime. This is my time.
Yeah, I mean, like the difference between it, like, I know I have heard more times of you wanting to have sex with Jacob than Richard has initiated sex with me. So
that's really sad.
Is it?
I mean, you want sex all the time.
More about my sex desires than Richard's.
Well, I haven't lately, but I hear about more sex that you've had than the amount of times that Richard has said I want to have sex. But that's been you know, I guess a 5-year thing, which we're going to talk about another
almost
5 year thing.
6 years.
Yeah, almost 6 years. I was trying to relate it to someone who wrote in about a similar problem, but that is much worse. Because I don't really feel like ours is much of a problem anymore. I think like I got used to you now, and like I don't want it all the time.
Neither of you are in your baby making days, so
yeah.
Right. Are you in your baby making days right now?
According to biology, yeah. That's why I'm in my prime.
Okay.
Because it's like now is the time where I should get it in because I'm supposedly still in good
Are you gonna save an egg?
Just one. You know how egg saving works? You gotta save a lot.
Really? I don't know. I thought you just save like an egg or two.
Well, if you save one and it doesn't like age well, then you're fucked.
Don't they freeze it? It's not supposed to age.
Maybe we should get to our topics because we have a few, and we were talking
fine.
about.
I'm in my prime. It's been settled.
About this show being shorter.
Better get that baby out.
So
No, I'm not having one. That's what my body wants.
Okay. Well, I'm glad your body figured it out. We have 3 awkward situations today. What are you talking?
I know 2 of them. I didn't know we had 3.
We just talked about them.
Oh,
when I was putting them in, you were there conversing with us.
I can't remember what I did 2 seconds ago.
You'll remember when we get through all of them. Whatever one you forgot, you'll be like, oh yeah.
It's not prime.
We had 4 questions and I lost 2, and I don't know how that happened.
So clearly Erica is the one who's most in her prime.
Well, I never argued I was in my prime.
I didn't argue I was.
Not a conversation.
But the thing is, I never argued I was in mine either.
All right, well, it's settled then.
Yeah, I mean, there are different types of primes to be in as an aggregate.
I'm in Amazon Prime, that's for sure.
Okay, we were trying. I just said we shouldn't make that joke.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
But he's not in his prime, so he doesn't remember.
Okay, well, Erica wins. I'm just giving it to her.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Awkward Human Survival Guide. Yep. Catch you next week.
Bye.
So, I guess we got to start with my bad breath since we teased that one.
Well, you've been teasing me all day.
Wait, I'm sorry. This has been enticing you somehow?
Because you keep teasing
all day you've been like, can you smell it now? Can you smell it now?
Like,
yeah, but I mean, like, sometimes you would mention it because I asked you to.
I know, but I knew you would want me to say it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you didn't, well,
let's get down.
I wouldn't ask as much.
Let's get into the beginning of the story.
It's not necessarily your fault, but it's a vicious cycle of halitosis. So, as the story goes, and Richard, you should fill in the details of this. But to start it off, I got about a week ago, my breath started to smell bad.
It's been a week.
Yeah, but he didn't tell me till yesterday. So because he's probably trying to see if it was just like maybe I just went into my work hole and forgot to bathe and take care of myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which sort of happens, but I don't usually. It doesn't get so like I don't like feeling dirty, so it usually doesn't happen to a point where it's a significant problem. But last night he was like, I don't want to offend you, or you say what you're going to say because you were very
Well,
cautious
I was
about it.
basically like, oh, I have something to tell you, but I don't want you to be offended, and
Wow,
I want to.
that's so polite.
I don't want to say it like an offensive
I know,
way
it's
or whatever.
it's like you don't do that with other
and
stuff.
so
that
I
bothers
said
me.
like, I've noticed that your breath has been a little bad lately, and it's been progressively getting worse. And I was wondering if you were like not flossing or something.
So concerned.
Mhm.
and I was like, and I said I had asked. Well, you asked me how often do I floss, and I'm like, why? Because it's not often, and so I wanted to. You get stuff. Well, I don't. At
So
this point,
like
I don't even know,
in
but-
my mouth, in the back, all the way in the back, I haven't gotten my wisdom teeth taken out, and they've grown in a fucked up way, like sideways, and they're pushing my teeth. So it's created this like gap between the gum in the back and then the last tooth, and sometimes like food will get stuck in there, and if I don't notice it or if I don't clean it out, like it stays there and it gets really rank. And so I try to like be very cautious or conscientious of like cleaning that out and like not having it become a problem. So I said like I think maybe there's something like that happening with you, because like I've experienced similar situations. And he's
I don't know.
very adamant, and that's not the case, that like there's nothing stuck in his teeth or
Well,
anything.
because I'm neurotic about picking shit out of my teeth. Like,
Mhm,
not,
but you don't floss, so that's what I'm saying. Like things
Yeah.
could be like right in the center.
But I floss with paper, so like throughout the day, where I'm in there with toothpicks, with paper. I get it out with my tongue if I can. I feel like maybe I need to stop doing that because I realize that it like causes a lot of jaw soreness. Because I was doing it tonight and I was like, this doesn't feel good. Maybe I should stop. Like I knew that it wasn't always a pleasant feeling, but I'm wondering if it's like causing more of a problem. But that's another thing. But I don't think it's just because I'm so because I feel everything.
Yeah.
And so like if there's a tag on my shirt or like the remnants of a tag, I'm like basically the princess in the pea, but not a princess.
Or pee.
Yeah. I will notice everything. There's nothing gets past me if it's discomfort.
But anyway, so we went to the restaurant today, and well, at the end of the conversation we had yesterday, Adam was like, well, if that's ever the case, like, let me know. I want to know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, cool. So then today we got in the car, or we were heading into the car to go to the restaurant. And then I was like, oh, like, because it had hit me there.
Yeah, you were saying it's wafting and filling up the car now.
Yeah, I said, I can smell
I
it.
just brushed my teeth. I didn't even take the breath spray with because I brushed my teeth the night before. And it was, and it went away, you said. So, and I did it thoroughly. I was like, oh, maybe I didn't do it thoroughly enough, but I was going to take my TheraBreath spray because that usually gets rid of everything. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't need it because I just brushed my teeth. It'll be fine for a few hours. Apparently, it wasn't fine for like a few seconds. So we went in the car, and then I tried to get Erica to smell it, and then she couldn't smell it.
Well, but you just kept saying, what does it smell like? What does it smell like? And so I was looking for a smell in the car.
A candle.
Well,
yeah.
But
yeah,
you weren't
she was-
smelling it in the car based on what you described later.
No, I wasn't smelling it at that point.
Yeah.
I smelled it later.
So he
But-
can definitely smell it before everyone else can smell it, but Jacob, your boyfriend, if anyone doesn't know that at this point, couldn't. It was burped. It was
You know,
careful.
I said in the car that his nose probably works better than ours because he doesn't have thin sinuses and he has a bigger nose, but he's really not sensitive to smell. Like, if something smells weird,
Rich is very sensitive.
like, if I open the fridge, I'm like, oh, something's rotten. Like, he has to actually pick up the thing and smell it.
but
Whereas
sometimes
I'll
there's stuff
smell
you
it.
don't smell. I mean, I think I have some kind of phantasmia because I smell stuff that he can't smell, and he always can't smell it if it's something I can't find. And when I can't find it and he can't smell it, that strikes me as probably more likely to be phantasmia than an actual cause.
Like, we walked into a restaurant
But
recently,
I
and
don't
I
know
thought
why.
it smelled really bad, and then I realized it was just, like, the combination of food, kind of like with the kimchi tonight. It was just the combination of food was, like, smelling. If I didn't have the food, it just smelled bad, but when I had the food, it smelled good. And he thought it was just him. Like, he was like, oh, I think that's me. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the restaurant smells fine. I probably just smell bad. And I was like, no, it's 100% the restaurant. I smelled it as soon as we walked in.
Do you think that you have like associative odor smell, like not odor, like sense of smell? Because like the way I work a lot of times, and I think I've talked about this on the show, but if I smell something really, really bad, I have to discover what it is, because then if I see it, I'll be like, oh, it's just onions. And then like it no longer smells bad to me because I can now associate it. And so like with the kimchi, Adam was like, I smell something bad. Is that my breath? And we're like, no, I don't think that's
I was hoping it was my breath.
And so
it was just
I was like, yeah, I smell it too. It smells really bad. And then we looked at the kimchi. We're like, oh, it's the kimchi. Then
it's
to
not,
me,
though, it wasn't.
It didn't smell anymore.
Yeah, but then
it also didn't. At that point, it didn't smell to anybody anymore, though. I think it was I think it actually left. It was anytime the cleaner came over, I smelled it. And
but like
I
broccoli
don't know why
too.
They had garbage.
Yeah.
But
I think we were mixing garbage and kimchi or
together.
vegetables and kimchi because it smelled like vegetable garbage, but I don't think it was.
Well, I mean, I think
everyone has the garbage left in the vegetable state.
Associative smell to some extent, because like that's why you can exactly, and your own farts don't smell that bad to you. But if you like, I've smelled a fart that was mine, not knowing it was mine. Thing with
cheese,
and it smelled so bad. But then if I know like I'm farting and I smell it, I'm like, ah.
So you were farting and you didn't realize you were farting?
I farted and I didn't. I was in the bed and I farted and it was one of those like just a little air came out. I didn't know if it really happened or not, and then a lot of time passed. And then I lifted up the blanket and I was like, oh, what is that?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. It's like it's highly neurological. I mean, arousal is a big changer of smell perception, and the word olfactory means to make smells. So you're not smelling something that exists so much as your nose is trying to parse what particles are entering it, and your brain is saying this is what it smells like. And if your brain recognizes certain characteristics of something that you have a positive association with, it's going to smell better than it normally would. If you didn't have a positive association with it, it's probably going to be more neutral under those circumstances. So either Richard has a more sensitive sense of smell or he hates me. And so my breath smells worse to him. Yeah, well, we'll deal with that later. But
so we were in the car.
Yeah, and what?
Well, I was going to say...
On the way back home?
No, on the way over. Oh. And then I smelled it. And
you smelled it in the car?
Yeah, that was the first time I smelled it.
Oh, and then I had gum and it went away.
20 minutes later.
Yeah, and we can't really figure out exactly what it is. I feel like maybe something... I feel like maybe it's a combination between the lack of water I've been drinking. I mean, I've been drinking water, but I've had tea more, and sometimes the tea has lemonade in it. And so I'm thinking not so much adding that, but having that and not having enough water, the breath might get worse based on that. It seems
with all the sugar of the lemonade or something.
Well, the fact that I have less water in my system and water. Tea is a diuretic, so that it's like the water going in is not quite the water going in because it's getting removed. And so if we have that, if we have that, I think diuresis is how you would say it in this situation. If we have diuresis or whatever, and there's like. I probably have a chronic sinus infection and will for the rest of my life. That if there's something stuck in my throat, and maybe there's some combination of bacteria that it seems to be bacterial because if I drink a glass of water, we tried that earlier, it goes away for a little bit. So I'm gonna do some experience and see if I can figure it out. I'd ask everybody for suggestions.
Though, and this is gonna sound really gross, but after you floss between teeth, smell the floss. Because that's actually a good suggestion. What Richard was describing with his weird teeth, I don't have that, but my teeth are really, really close together. So there's a lot of food that I don't feel between my teeth. And sometimes I floss and suddenly my mouth smells really bad. And I'm like, where was that? So now I just smell it to see if there's any problem teeth.
My guess is the most likely scenario is it's plaque calculus.
Calculus?
Yeah, that's what they call it. I'm assuming.
Yeah, because it multiplies.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's why they call it that. Something along those lines, that it's a additive thing, but I actually don't know why. But I was thinking about asking the listeners for suggestions because I know some of you will tell me.
Primrose.
Primrose?
Yeah, she wrote in last time, so I'm calling her out.
Oh, well, I don't know if she has an affinity to halitosis dilemmas.
She is a surprising, lovely lady.
I assume so.
Make sure you floss before you brush your teeth, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try my method.
Well, I think I already brushed my teeth, but I think I'm gonna try a couple of other things before I try to aggressively floss, just to rule them out. But because it started right
nothing's
after
worse than flossing.
I ran out. Well, no. I mean, yeah, but
Why don't you just get a flosser stick?
But I want to control. Well, I have those. I can do it. It's just I want to like try to keep things as they are and rule it out. Because he started noticing it right when my mouthwash ran out, that I use all the time. So I don't know if that was just stopping it from being evident, or if it's actually the reason, or well, I mean, it was stopping it from being evident.
Actually killing a bacteria that's been growing or something.
Well, because then
I mean, I don't know.
You probably should get it checked out if it's always like that.
I mean, I've had some theories, but I've been able to rule out quite a few.
Yeah, and you've also haven't been to the dentist in like 3 years.
No, it's been 2 years. But
really, only that long?
Yeah, it's been
that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It. I need to go. It's been too long for sure, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't. It's weird that it suddenly became this severe.
Well, no, it's always been a thing. But like I had mentioned to you before, that it's not always like it's like
everybody has bad breath sometimes.
No, but like where it progressively starts getting worse, like within a week span, and then all of a sudden, like it won't be the case anymore. So that's why I was saying, like, oh, maybe you have something that's stuck in there.
Well, how long has that been happening? Since you met me?
No, not since I met you, but probably the past like year or so.
The past year, but like over the course of a week, you'd say something for a year.
Because, like I said, it would like just go away, so I was like, oh, okay, it's nothing to worry about.
Well, but why did you say something this time then? I mean, I would have rather.
I told you something
earlier,
like a couple months ago as well.
You did?
I don't not to this detail of it, but I did say like.
Oh yeah.
Remember you? No, I didn't. No, I was just actually clearing my throat.
That's not saying something. That's just making a noise.
No, I was actually clearing my throat, but I had said something a couple months ago.
I think you just said your breath doesn't smell very good. Mm-hmm. But not that it had been like that for days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the awkward thing.
Have you noticed anything in the past year? I mean, this is what I hate about politeness is that people like. You should tell people when there's something wrong.
I don't think I have, but also I don't get as close to your face as Richard does. Like even today,
yeah, but you wouldn't get that close to my face unless we're doing something with them. The faces.
When you're like sleeping next to him and like
we sleep pretty far apart because the dog gets in the way.
Okay. Well, I only noticed it today because you were like, "Tell me if you smell something," and then I was like, "Oh, now I smell something."
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I would have noticed.
If you were on the other side of the table, that's probably how far away our faces are at night. So I mean, it's not a situation where I'm far enough away from him that he's smelling it in situations like he'll pick it up from farther away. I guess is what I'm saying. We're in enclosed cars, apparently. Anyway, I think we can wrap that up. I didn't want to keep going on that. But that was it's a weird. That's usually awkward for a lot of people. But I wanted to.
Well, the awkward part was that then for the rest of the evening, you kept being like, "How about now? How about now?"
You guys can't see this unless you're watching, but I was holding hands on my face,
and then like turning around and breathing on me.
Out of the left side. Wait, I mean, but you were asking me to like try it in this direction or whatever, and so then I started adding some other things because you were like, maybe it's coming out of the left side only.
It was like the whole night. It was like, what about? But can you smell it now?
It was like a Verizon commercial, but with mouth
Can you
smells.
Smell me now?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
So anyway, let's see. I think let's go to Richard's, and then we'll go back to the other situation of mine.
Okay,
because
we'll try to
really
make this one shorter, but I don't think it will be.
I only have 2 questions, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
you're welcome, listeners.
I lost them. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know where they went, but I mean, there was some maintenance on our thing today, which we finally have the correct names showing up, so that's good. But I don't know how the maintenance would have gotten rid of it, but. Yeah,
so my awkward story began earlier this week, where we have a mutual friend who's been on the show. Her name is Rachel, and she had tickets to go see the Color Purple, and she couldn't make it to the show, so she posted on Facebook like, hey, I have a ticket, I can't make it to the show, I'm selling it for a really discounted price or whatever. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I'd go to that, but I don't know, because she said, and you'll be seated with
Purple, the musical.
Yeah, the musical.
Might as well put that's
what I said, though.
Oh, you did?
I said the Color Purple.
Yeah,
I thought. Oh, sorry. I thought you kept saying this show. No. I don't know why I didn't hear that.
So she also posted like, you'll be seated with my lovely lady friends or whatever, and I was like, I don't fucking know your friends, and so I was like, I'm not gonna like get in on that.
You don't know? You know them.
In the post she did not specify who it was.
Oh.
So I was like, no, I'm not. I just ignored it. So then later on in the day, I get a text from Rachel being like, hey, I have this ticket. I can't make it to the show. You know, she went into her reasons or whatever, and she was like, I'm selling it for $30. And I was like, oh, well, let me verify that I have nothing going on that day, and I'll get back to you. So I asked Adam, and he didn't respond for a while, I think.
No, I responded right away.
Did you?
And I said, yes, you can go to the show.
Oh, right. I said, hey, do we have anything going on Thursday? And he was like, yes, you can go to the show. And I was like, how did you find out about this?
Right.
And so apparently...
She got your number from me.
No, she got it from me.
So the funny thing was...
She texted me for Richard's number. So.
No, she asked me for Richard's number.
Well, she didn't get it from you.
I sent it to her and she said, thanks.
Wait.
Anyway.
Okay, so what?
I don't know what happened there, but she literally sent a text to him right after I gave her the number. So I don't know what she did with yours.
In the text that she sent me, she said, "I thought of you, and I wanted to ask you if you were gonna want to go to the show or whatever." Mm-hmm. So then later, Adam's like, "Oh yeah, she asked Erica." And Erica suggested you, and I was like, "She said she thought of me, like that it came from her."
How did you know?
How did I know about it?
Because she texted you about the number?
Yes, she sent me a message that says, I have a proposition for your lovely boyfriend, and then she had a ring emoji. And I was like, okay, well, it's not that, but whatever. And so I was like, here's his number. What's the proposition? Oh, I have tickets to a musical.
I gotcha.
That he might want to go to.
Apparently she talked to both of you guys about trying to get to me.
No, what happened? Well, is there more to your story, or should I?
No, there's more, but you can go ahead and interject.
What I was going to say was the reason this all started is because she texted me asking me if I wanted to go to the show.
Right.
And she was like, whole spiel, hey, I have this ticket. I can't make it, blah, blah, blah. And it was like the day of or the night before or something, and I had already planned to do something, and I was like, I don't really want to go that badly. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't think I can go. But she said, if she really wanted to give a ticket to someone, and so I was like, did you try Richard? Because he likes musicals, and he would probably like it. Worth a shot, And she was like, oh, cool, great idea. And then a little while later, she was like, oh, I actually don't have Richard's number. Can you send it to me? But maybe she...
Oh, maybe she texted Adam in between that time.
Yeah, maybe she I didn't respond right away or something, and she just texted you. I don't know.
That's possible. I mean, we could check the time codes. I'm sure that would be really
it's not that important. But anyway, I thought it was just funny because in the message, she was like, I thought of you because I know that you like musicals. And I was like, okay.
Well, I mean, I did tell her you like musicals.
I know, but it was just so funny. It's like, it just popped into my head. But that's not the issue. So... she was like, it's $30 or whatever, and I was like,
which you were
fine.
You were upset about. You felt duped into it.
So I was like,
I don't know why.
She said because she said that it was season tickets, that she had season tickets,
yeah,
and
she
so
does.
I was like, okay, so you have season tickets, but you're gonna sell me your ticket that you already have. Like, I don't know. It just to me felt a little weird because like in the past I've had friends be like, I can't make this show. I have season tickets,
so it's expensive to be a season ticket holder.
I mean, if she had led you on, that would have been fine. I mean, that would have been a normal response, I think, because it's like, oh, do you want this ticket? Do you want this? Okay, it's gonna be $30. Like that's kind of rude, but she didn't do that. She said it in the first message.
Yeah, but because I can tell that at this point she was desperate to find someone. And when you're that desperate to find someone to take your ticket that you already have paid for, I guess, I don't know. It was just a little bit weird to me. But anyway, because in the past I've had friends be like, I can't make this show. Just take my ticket.
I think it's more of a thing that we generally give stuff to people, but there's nothing wrong with her selling it. It's just normal.
No, but I don't know. It just sat with me a little bit weird.
Do it.
It's fine though. The show was lovely.
$30 is a very
yes,
good
it was.
price.
It was very worth it. But anyway, so I got the tickets or whatever, and then afterwards I got home, and I was looking at the ticket, and I was like, the ticket was worth $26 plus $3 fee. I wonder if the season tickets typically say how much it is, or if she bought this ticket at a discounted price because it was discounted with her season pass.
Was the ticket at will call?
No, she had it.
Okay, so I was thinking like maybe she just forgot.
And they were all connected together, but they all have different. So all 4 of the girls have season passes separately, I think. But all the tickets were connected to each other. Like you had to tear them from each other.
Oh.
So that's why I was like, oh, did she buy these tickets? So she purchased them for a total of $29 and charged me $30 for the ticket.
There was only $3 of fees?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty low.
For each ticket.
I mean, I think it's possible she forgot. But
so I was like, huh.
I think the only thing about the story that's problematic is that I remember her saying heavily discounted price.
Heavily discounted.
And I thought, because it's orchestra seats, and I know how much the Pantages are. I'm going to see Waitress in the balcony, and that's like $80.
I paid more for one of our tickets when we saw Aladdin, and that was not good.
Yeah. And well, whether or not it's a good show, like $30 for orchestra seats to any musical does sound cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
So I was like, it's probably at least half price.
It's highly discounted for sure.
But it's funny that
the thing is,
it's not from what she paid.
I just feel like when you're that desperate to find someone, where you're like going to social media and like, if you're listening to this, Rachel, no offense to you, but like if you're going to social media and you're like pretty much practically begging people, and I'm sure that I was one of the last people she could have thought of, clearly, because she didn't think of me, but like she probably texted all these other friends, not Erica, at the
even though I'm in my prime,
even though she's in her prime, then got to Erica because like, no offense to Erica, but I don't picture her like going to musicals. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can because we've been to them together, but I know what you mean.
But I just feel like when you're like that desperate to like find someone to take your ticket, like, and then calling it heavily discounted when you only paid $1 less than what you charge, like it's just interesting, and I just like felt a bit offended.
I don't know why you were so offended.
I don't know why either. I don't know why. It just like rubs me the wrong way.
I'm going to rule against you.
Yeah.
Okay,
not that we have a rule, but I'm ruling this time.
That was how I felt about it.
Objection. Bullshit.
And, yeah. That's from Suits, you guys.
Suits.
Season 2. He doesn't watch it, but he watched that part.
But I know some of the jokes, yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, God, that was like the worst, best dialogue. Anyway, but... I mean, that was the thing. He was telling me about this, and it sounded like, I just assumed that Rachel had, like, led him on.
Because some people
as the information came out, I was like, Richard, it's not a big deal.
Like, I've had friends who post on social media being like, I'll just pick a random thing, like, hey, any fans of The Killers out there got an extra ticket? And then you message them, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a total fan. Where's the seats? And they give you all the information, and they're like, are you down? And you're like, cool. And they're like, cool, it'll be $50. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me up front you're selling a ticket? Because it sounds like you just have an extra one.
Yeah.
In this case, she straight out of the gate was like, it's this much money. Do you want to go?
Yeah. No, I get it. It's...
Nope.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Like I said, I don't know why I'm so offended. I think it's because, like I said before...
Offended.
No, you're not. You love the show. It was
no. Yeah, I loved the show. It's fucking amazing, and you should go see it if you get the chance.
$29.
But you also loved examining that ticket for its
But you're not... But that's, like, I just, like, looked at it, because I was like, oh, it said orchestra seating, but we were quite far back. And so I was like...
Well, it's still orchestra if it's on the first floor.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And so I was like, interesting that it calls it orchestra seating when we're like nowhere near the orchestra. So I looked at the ticket to be like, did it say that? And that's when I saw the price. And I was like, wait, do they include the price when it's a season pass?
I don't know.
I didn't think so. And plus, they were all connected to each other, even though they're 3 or 4 separate season passes. So anyway, it's fine. It's just, I was like, okay. It's not heavily discounted.
But you would do it again.
It's heavily discounted against the actual price, but it's not heavily discounted from what you paid. So,
again, not a lie. Not a lie.
I know, but it's just like you were that desperate to find someone that you called me.
I'm curious if these stories were entertaining to anybody.
I don't know. So.
Probably not.
Just like hearing them now, I'm wondering like...
We went into such detail about people that no one knows and like pricing.
Okay, write back if you feel that I'm so fucking stupid that I shouldn't...
No, I'm including my halitosis in this,
for sure.
not just you.
No, I know you're including both, but I'm talking about this. Like, if you think that I'm just crazy overreacting, like, let me know and I'll try to let it go.
Yeah, definitely do that.
I'm just saying, I don't think you have a right to be offended in this case.
But if, like, you were going to be offended, let me know too.
Well, no, I phrased that wrong.
He doesn't have a right to hassle Rachel about it.
I wasn't going to hassle her either.
No, I was suggesting that you're being like, hey, Rachel, we were thinking of getting the season tickets. How much do they cost per ticket?
And that was the other thing, because Adam was
I just
like,
want to know though.
Adam was like, well, you don't know her situation. Maybe she's like really desperate for money. I was like, but then why is she buying season tickets?
Well, she might have bought the season ago.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
You have to get that shit like a year before any of the shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't mean like really desperate for money, but like it's as if I was trying to get rid of a ticket right now and my financial situation is at least okay, but I would still sell it. I would try to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't think I would to like a friend that I'm approaching, being like, I need someone to take this ticket. I guess what I meant
is, yes, you have the right to be offended by anything you want, but there's no reason to be annoyed at the situation, objectively speaking.
Yeah, and even so, like when Adam suggested that, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not gonna approach her and be like.
But I was also kidding, but also I wanted it to happen.
Yeah, and I was like, no, like I'm not gonna like go up to her because like that's her prerogative if she wants to charge me for it or not. But it's like my feelings that like I'm feeling, obviously. So it was just like. Let me have my feelings because I need to have them.
You do, babe. You do.
And like she, I don't think she did. I don't think that she did anything wrong doing it her way or whatever. It was just like, were I in those shoes, I wouldn't like have gone through all these circles to try to find someone to get it, and then like been like, it's $30, you know? I don't know.
Well, but if she was just giving it away, she wouldn't have been desperate because then she would have just given it to the first person.
If they could go, or if they were interested in it.
I don't think anyone would be desperate to give away a free ticket because they would just be like, well, if no one can go, no one can go. I think you can only be desperate to sell a ticket, not to give one away.
Right.
But you were phrasing it as if you're like, if I were that desperate, I would have just not charged the person. Well, you wouldn't be desperate because you wouldn't be trying to get the money.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so
moving on.
Those were like the first world problems that we had today.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I don't know. Bad breath can run in the third world.
Okay, do you know a third world that's thinking like, oh, where's my Listerine? They don't care about it. They don't even know they have bad breath.
I can imagine a third world person being like, if only I could afford to buy toothpaste, then maybe I would smell good. You know?
I mean, I don't want to say anything offensive, so I'm not going to.
If you're living in the third world, and listen.
But there are more established countries than what would qualify as the third world that have like
developing world. We call them developing worlds now.
Whatever. They're not first world countries. Whatever.
I guess I wouldn't describe what could potentially be a medical issue as a first world problem because it's a problem with your body. It can happen anywhere.
It's the body.
It's gross.
It's like if it was a vajazzling issue, then yeah.
Vajazzling issue?
Well, it's a body issue, but it's really first world, you know?
Right. Like, ooh, I burned my coochie vajazzling it.
Mine may or may not be a first world problem, but getting into the nitty gritty on a podcast about it is definitely...
getting into the nitty gritty on anything on a podcast is a first world problem. having a problem to talk about on a podcast is a first world problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
I mean, it's more of a first world solution.
Okay. Or situation.
I think.
Well, what's the third?
People call in or write in.
I love your hat, by the way.
With all of the different. Erica has a cow hat.
Did you do that
Watch it on
just
YouTube.
to fuck with me?
What? What do you mean fuck with you?
Because now you're the third person.
To say that they like your hat?
I'm not getting
today?
into it. I'm not going to get into it.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. So, anyway, if you found either of these stories boring, go to awkward.email and let us know that we shouldn't. That I don't know.
We should stop wasting their time.
I'm
this free entertainment.
Everybody is like, oh, we love all the tangents and stuff. So I just assume it's okay. And every time I ask, everyone's like, yeah, no, it's great, unless you do it for the whole episode. That was a one time on Supercharged.
Oh, really? They are actually here for the questions. Okay.
No. I'm saying on Supercharged.
Oh.
Tommy and I went on a tangent for an entire episode, and they were like, I like the tangents, but don't do it the whole time.
You guys talk about boring stuff.
Well, maybe if you listen to it.
20 minutes talking.
We did a whole episode on Marvel, and you didn't listen to that one, so you have no idea.
What? Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Like, that's something you actually like.
So you're on your other awkward situation.
Yeah. What's the final situation?
The reason we saved this one for last is because this was more of like an awkward situation that falls into the question department more than I'm talking about a situation. I mean, like, I know what I'm going to do / have done about it already, and Erica and I talked about this, and we were going to have a different kind of an episode tonight that didn't quite work out, so we're going to try to record it at Din Tai Fung and do like a special thing with a bunch of people, but then a lot of the people didn't show up because they were sick or other reasons. like they didn't check their email, and I didn't realize they were invited. And then
we got seated really fast.
Yeah, it just normally you have to wait for like an hour and a half, and so we assumed that we'd have all this time to do something, but then we forgot that we were going to be in a mall because it moved to a mall. Anyway, blah blah blah. We didn't record dumplings. It just seemed appropriate since they came up on a previous episode. We talked about it a lot, and Erica's for sale to eat. I mean, Erica's
no! I have boundaries!
No, you can buy Erica to eat something on video for you.
Donner party Erica. Of one. Your Erica's ready.
None of me is ready to eat.
I'm going to make a note of that in case we don't come up with a better episode title.
What if now the calls come pouring in? And people are like, I'll take a finger for $20, please.
Oh, that's a good deal.
It's not available.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with anything, but I deliberately not mentioned it to Richard because I figured you'd weigh in on the show, but then we didn't do it, but now we're going to do it. So
are you laughing at Rocco?
Okay. You may remember, Rocco is on camera. By the way, if you don't get enough Rocco click-clack sounds, if you want to really see where they're coming from, so that you can have an association. The dog is in Richard's arms right now. Richard, maybe you could turn a little bit more that way in case someone wants to see his face.
You're going to lose the effect of the kickback head, though.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Oh, he's off camera now. Oh. But you can just keep him there. He'll be back on him in a minute. Here, let's just switch it back to the 3-shot. Now you can see everybody. Rocco, you're getting famous again. Hi, buddy. He's adorable. All right, so Mr. Anonymous, he's written in / sometimes I've just put his questions on here because they were weird, and I wanted to talk about them. But a lot of the times, like, he would ask me a question, and I'm like, would you mind if we answered this on the podcast? Because I don't really have time to talk about it right now. You're bumping the microphone with the dog. Just saying.
Not really.
When you were, well, now you did it again.
But no one can hear it.
Yeah, they can.
No, they can't.
That's what they can hear.
No, they can't.
They can't hear the conversation. They can just hear the dog bumping.
Right as soon if you can hear the bumping.
I'll just play it for you and you can hear it. So, anyway, Mr. Anonymous had some questions on, so you may remember hearing about Mr. Anonymous as opposed to Anonymous, as some people are called when they write in and don't provide a pseudonym or want their real name. Anyway, he and I are maybe not friends now.
Does he know that?
Well, he
probably
should.
Starting to guess.
Well, I mean, it's like I've been realizing that I put way too much effort into people who make no effort to reciprocate friendship-related things, and I do that a lot. And Mr. Anonymous has been in my life for a very long time, so he's kind of tenured, and I'm thinking maybe that's not something he should have.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, first of all, he's like a world-class narcissist, so there's that. If I thought he was listening to that, I might be... No, I would still say it. I mean, it's not... It's
you guys were talking
obvious.
about this in the car.
Yeah, but we also talked about it here. Like right before we started the show.
Yeah, we were just talking about narcissists in general in the car.
Yeah. But he's basically the gist is he always wants to talk. I've been obviously more stressed out ever since the hack, but that's more of been a post-traumatic stress than actual stress as of late. But that's been getting better and stuff. But one of the reasons it's getting better is because I have just started. I would tell people like stop doing this thing that I don't like, which is usually bothering me to do something and then never reciprocating. Like I don't mind helping people, but if they want help all the time and it, like a year goes by and they don't do anything for me, like, and I'm not talking about like do me a favor that is very specific, but like ask me how my day was or like what's up with you. If I don't get that once, and that's the case with Mr. Anonymous, and it's more than a year, I just never thought about it. Then, like that's kind of a problem. So I said, like the reason I haven't been replying to you lately is because I have a lot of stuff going on and I've just been deprioritizing anybody who's not reciprocating, who's not, being a great friend. And these are the reasons why you fall into that category. So he had sent me messages of like he had started right after the Parkland shooting. He got an NRA membership and then sent me a picture of it. and he knows I'm very anti-gun, and I'm not anti-gun unless like, I mean, I don't really want anyone to have a gun, but I'm not necessarily legislating in that regard.
You're pro-gun reform.
I just don't like guns. That's that. When I say I'm anti-gun, I'm like, I think there should be gun reform laws, but I'm not trying to take away anyone's guns. I just don't want to come across that way, because not because I don't think I have a problem with no one having guns. I would love that, but I think that's not the answer. But I just really don't like guns because they're violent, and I thought it was really shitty for him to get the membership in retaliation to the Parkland shooting, for one. But then to, like, he knows I don't want to hear about it, and so he sends me that, and then keeps doubling down on that, and he's like, and sends me messages like, I'm doing my taxes. It's always about him and stuff that he's doing. He never asks me anything about myself. Never. I mean, I don't need anything from him because I don't want to be offensive, but he can't. He has nothing to offer me. So he could offer me his friendship, and that's about it. And he won't do that because if you know narcissists, they don't have the capacity for that. It's just kind of like, how is this person useful to me? They can't. It's like they can't think in any other way. And I just hadn't really like paid attention to it that much. And so he, so I sent him this fairly long message explaining everything. And I was like, if you want to get a response from me, make the conversation about me 10% of the time at least. Like bring up a topic that I care about. And then the text that I got in response to that, after, he never addressed anything I said at all. He said, iPhones are so expensive now. Then there was one, do you know anything about, or he wanted help with like discrimination in the workplace. Then I got fired, and then a crying face. I believe those were the 4. And so I had been ignoring him since then, since that I sent that message, because his message was iPhones are so expensive. And I'm like, okay, well, I literally told you all he had to do. He didn't have to apologize. He didn't have to do anything. I wasn't looking for an apology. I was just explaining how I felt and how why it was a problem for me and what he could do to resolve that. And so I was like, if he wanted to make an effort, all he had to do is ask me how I'm doing. Very, very simple. Even for a narcissist, they would know, like, oh, well, if I want this person around, I can, then I can be manipulative and do this thing and play into that. And then if I just ask him how he's doing once a month, then that should be fine. So like, if he wanted a route like that, then there it is, but he wouldn't even do that. So I didn't respond, because I had basically made the decision, I'm going to tell everybody specifically why I'm not responding if they fall into that category. And if they don't change in any way or show any effort to do anything, I'm not putting the effort in, because they can't put in a tiny amount of effort to ask me a 3-word question or whatever. I mean, like, I made it as absolutely simple as possible. So, I had asked Erica, is it wrong for me to have, should I not be ignoring him right now because he just got fired from his job and it might be a discriminatory thing? And also, for the record, Mr. Anonymous is one of the most racist people I've ever met. So in a very weird way, and there's like, I don't like to, I like to try to have a dialogue with people who have different opinions than mine. But it's that's why I remain friends with people that I do things I think are really terrible. But it's not if it's like really draining, and it's always really draining with him. But my question to Erica and to the world and to Richard more specifically right now is, do I have any obligation to respond to him in a situation where he might be in like some serious trouble? Because he has nobody else that will help him. I'm like literally the only person that would help him. Except I'm not going to give him money. I'm not going to help him find a job, because I tried doing that and he just didn't put in the effort. Like I went out on a limb to hook him up with a lawyer who listens to Supercharged, or listened, I don't know which. But really nice guy, helped me out with a legal problem I had a long time ago. I was just writing a letter, but it was very kind of him, and got me out of a problem where AT&T was trying to screw me out of some money and had like messed up my credit report. because I didn't pay for a charge that they actually owed me $2. And they were saying I owed them $32, and then sent it to a collections agency, and I didn't owe them anything. Anyway, he basically just ghosted the lawyer when I tried to set up an interview for him, and that was, so I'm not going to help him with that stuff. So it really, to me, doesn't make any sense to respond to him or continue with this, and I think he's just trying to draw me in. But Richard, would you do anything differently? Do you think I have any obligation?
I think that really depends on you and how you feel, because...
Well, I think that is the last place I should look, but go for it.
Well, because here's the thing. Do you have an obligation? No. But I think you have to consider how you think you'll feel however this results. Like, if you don't help him out and this is a discriminatory thing that he got fired for or whatever, like, how are you going to feel then that you didn't help him out? Or, like, I don't know. Like, I guess that's just, like, where you base it. Like, how do you think you're going to feel if you don't help him out? And how do you think you're going to feel if you do help him out? And it's kind of like weighing those two options. And I think, like, with friends that you've had in your life for so long, even though you're like, oh, this is a shitty person, I'm just going to let them go. Like, a lot of times it's like, well, why did you hold on to them for that long when they've been this way forever?
Funny.
And I think,
I'm being honest,
but it has to be more than that. Like, it can't just be like, oh, he's funny.
Well, he's also not funny anymore.
Well, the difference though is, like, I've heard Adam complain about this person a lot over the last 2 years, particularly.
By his name, Mr. Anonymous.
Right. But before, you'd be like, oh yeah, he did this stupid thing. And then you'd be like, oh, but it led to this thing, and then there'd be a story.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, this ridiculous thing is happening, or oh, I have to call him and find out about this thing.
Now he's just being a dick.
But
he trolls everybody.
For like the last 2 years, every time you brought him up, it's been because he's done something shitty or because he's been narcissistic. So you're not getting anything out of it, even the baseline level.
But I think in some way you're still, like, not necessarily like consciously holding on to the memory of him, but I think, like, you still have that association because. But I mean, like, you. I
mean, not now.
Now, no, but like
maybe like 3 months
past,
ago.
However long you've been noticing this thing occurring, like, it's still like you've had that friendship, that early friendship with him, how you guys got close or whatever, and like you have all that built in. So I'm not saying that, like, not being his friend is wrong or anything, like, quite the opposite, but like, you have all of that built in, so then you start having that, like, well, I have to be his friend, like, we went through all this together, and it's like, well, no, you don't have to be his friend, you don't have to talk to him, you don't have to help him, but at the end of the day, like, if you help him, like, you already try to help him with a lawyer, you set up a lawyer meeting and everything, and he blew that off.
Yeah.
So if you try to help him further, do you think that he's going to blow that stuff off as well? Do you think that he's actually going to take it and be appreciative and, like, accept that help?
Well,
and, like, are you gonna,
but
like,
it's...
So then what are we doing here?
He wants to know if there's anything wrong with not helping this person.
Well, yeah, and so here, this is what I'll get into, because this should answer your question, because I did think about that. We actually talked about this. My concern is not out of how I will feel. I'm usually not worried about how I'm going to feel about something, but
how he's going to end up?
Well, kinda. So I mean, like, if it came down to it and he got fired for discrimination, I mean, I'm not proud to say that I would take pleasure in this to some degree, but it feels like a comeuppance. So I don't wish hardship on anybody necessarily, unless that hardship is one warranted due to some actions, and it would help, like, alleviate hardship on people who are getting it for no reason. I mean, like, that's a situation where I would wish hardship on somebody else who's causing hardship for many more people who didn't, I don't want to use the word deserve, but let's just say that. So I mean, like, if he got fired and, I was like, oh, well, I didn't listen, it's kind of a boy who cried wolf thing, but he cried wolf instead of 3 times, it was for, longer than half my life.
Mm-hmm.
No, half my life.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly,
this is what I'm worried about, though.
That it's going to be something real that should have been dealt with.
I'm worried he's going to lose his shit and kill people. like when he has no one else left.
Oh,
that's
what's different.
That's what scares me, and I don't want to feel like I don't think there's the reason why I feel like it still doesn't matter is because I don't think there's anything I could do by being his friend. But he has a crazy dad, and mental issues run in his family. He has an NRA membership. His favorite news source is Breitbart. I mean, he has the markings of, I'd say some other things, but I shouldn't.
Well, I guess you report him to the FBI and say, hey, this guy may be a potential threat.
But he hasn't done anything to indicate that he's a threat at all.
To be 100% fair, there is nothing other than it feels like it could go that direction. But also, I have never known him to be violent. Oh, that's not true. No, I just think that
it's like
he domestically abused someone.
It was more like they domestically abused each other, and I think they were kind of into it. But
that's different. If it's like kinky shit,
I'll tell you about it later. It's
there's nothing in the messages or anything that you've heard recently that would lead you to believe he's going to do anything violent.
Yeah, he's never said anything about harming other people like that.
You're just like, what is the worst possible thing that could happen if I don't help him?
I think you saying domestic violence actually leads more towards he would do it, but
no, I think it's in him, but I also think it's in anybody, which is why I don't like guns and I don't want a gun, because as much as I don't, ever want to be violent to somebody else, I know that we are not as finite as we think we are. Our personality is not just like something that exists as is forever. You can be a very different person. Roseanne just pretty much put that into the public eye. I mean, like, look at her 20 years ago. Listen to anything Tom Arnold says, because boy, does he like to talk about their relationship still. I mean, when this whole thing came out, I was like, where's Tom Arnold right now? And he was like, and he not only was he immediately on TV, especially CNN. No one should be surprised about that. But he had been tweeting at ABC for months, apparently, saying this is not going to end well. You guys should not tell her to get off Twitter at least. And so apparently he predicted it. But boy, he cannot let this Roseanne stuff go. But I guess it keeps him in.
Well, I'm sure
I don't know the situation.
Like, that marriage had to be very toxic.
It is the most public divorce I have ever seen in this, just because of how long it went on for. It's crazy.
So I'm not surprised that he is still holding on to a lot of that. But in your case, I don't think that you have an obligation.
Because I don't think there's anything I could do.
My advice on this is just let it go. Just don't be his friend. Don't invite him to conversation. Don't even whatever. Keep doing what you're doing. Just ignore him, because you don't know his life in Boston, in where he's at.
It's fine. You didn't quite get that right.
You did. Okay, cool. You don't know his life there. You guys are thousands of miles apart, and you don't know what his actual life is right now. You don't know if he has other friends that he's doing this to, or that he's leaning on, or that he's manipulating or whatever. I
actually have a pretty clear idea.
Okay, everything. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not.
It's every time I say something well, you don't know. Actually,
well, because you're saying you're saying I don't know, but I do know.
Okay, fine. Then
what do I
again? Why are we here? If you know what you want to do already.
No, I'm not saying I know what I want to do. I'm saying I know his situation. It's a very different
The way
thing.
he said those things, though, because I was thinking about it with an example of a person that I don't talk to anymore, but that I would probably talk to if they made any sort of effort to be a good person in our friendship. And I was like, the only circumstance in which I would do anything in those texts, if the person was like, hey, I'm really sorry that I've been a terrible friend and I've done nothing for you for the last few years, but I just got fired, and for whatever reason, you can help me with this, because I can't help with workplace discrimination.
Oh yeah, no, that would have been a fine way of putting it.
I know it's a shitty thing to ask of you to do something now, considering our friendship, but I really need help, then I'd be like, sure, you're in a bad place. But nothing of what you read would entice me to do anything about it. The way he phrased that, there was no oh, I fucked up and I need help.
Nothing.
So it was I don't see any obligation.
And it's possible that he didn't receive the message, but it said delivered, and it was an iMessage. So that does I don't know anybody who hasn't received, and it was also multiple messages, so it would be weird that none of them got through and they said they did. And you don't get the delivered thing if it didn't get delivered. But then he said iPhones are so expensive, so maybe his broke, and I mean he has an iPad and a computer.
Right.
And yeah, I mean it's highly unlikely for something that would have never occurred.
I mean if it's something that you don't know, if you're like doubting for whatever reason, like have a phone conversation, just be like, hey, just calling you to let you know that like
I'm not,
this is over.
Yeah, I mean I might need to do that at some point, but I'm not like, it seems very unlikely that he doesn't deserve that benefit of the doubt, or he shouldn't get that benefit of the doubt, I should say, at this point.
I just don't. You're not obligated to help him in this situation. Like, he put himself in this situation. Well, I mean, I don't know, but he put himself in the situation with you.
Yeah, and with everybody else, and they've all said, no, I don't want to be your friend.
Yeah, and it might be that he just needs to learn his lesson, or if he's truly that narcissistic, he won't, and he'll just continue blaming everyone else for his problems. And
yeah, and that's why I'm worried he's going to go kill people, because that's usually what leads to it, is you start blaming everyone else for your problems. Everyone says, no, I don't want to be around you, you're toxic. And then you get isolated.
But what can you do in that case?
Well, exactly. That's why
there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when
you're going to put yourself through all this like frustration of staying in his life so that he doesn't potentially go on a murdering rampage. Like, that's not your obligation.
Yeah, I mean, it's comparable to like when you have a significant other who's like, I'm
threatening to kill themselves. Yeah, like you can't live that way.
Person. You can stay with them until you figure out how to try to get them into a safer path once you're gone. Like, talk to their family or somebody else who could get them help, and then you can break it off. But I mean, like, and it's not to say that threat of suicide isn't serious. My sister was in that situation with her boyfriend once, not the current one, just in case he's hearing this. But when she was much younger, and he literally tried to kill himself in front of her when she was breaking it off. I mean, like, tried to jump out the window, and she had to tackle him. So I just don't want to. I want to not diminish the severity of those threats. Like, when people say that, they may very well be telling the truth, but it's also manipulative and it's not fair. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if there's some way that I could get Mr. Anonymous some assistance to help with whatever problem it is that he has, of which I would say there are numerous problems, I would. And I mean, everybody's got issues too. It's just these ones are, obviously more significant since they're affecting everyone he's ever met, and continues to meet. And I could go into a long history of like how incredibly disturbing some of his behavior is. And I feel like maybe one of the worst things that I've done is not call him out more than I have. Just thinking about like all this terrible shit that he did, and like sometimes I thought it was kind of funny because it was so many years later. But no, it's not funny now. So on that note, let's talk about some other people's not funny problems.
I'm extremely thirsty. Can we take a brief pause before these questions?
Yes, let's take a break for some water.
If you are alive today, you've experienced the difficulty that comes with eating. Diet and exercise just isn't enough. If you eat food, you're going to die. Carbohydrates cause diabetes. Jews can't drink milk. Oranges cause cancer. And gluten ruins everything. And that's just the beginning. No matter what you eat, problems are around the corner. In fact, 100% of food consumers have experienced death at some time during their lives. If you suffer from dietary issues, stop kidding yourself. Help is available, and it's called Anorexisil. Anorexisil is a fast-acting and powerful appetite suppressant, antihistamine, and antiemetic. It tells your brain you've eaten so you don't desire food. If your mouth comes into contact with any type of food, Anorexisil continues to protect. Along with a food-free diet, Anorexisil is 48 to 64% effective at preventing food-related illness. Anorexisil is FDA approved to reduce the risk of diabetes and irritable bowel syndrome. Don't take Anorexisil for more than 3 weeks, or if you suffer from stomach ulcers. Otherwise, you may experience side effects such as general discomfort, pain, and death. If you suffer from food-related illness, don't kid yourself. Talk to your doctor about your risks and enter Exisel today.
Okay, so we're back and realize we've been recording for an hour. And so, apologies. We're not going to get to both of the questions today because we talked about ourselves the whole time, speaking of narcissists.
So if your answer to our previous question was, no, this isn't interesting, sorry.
Yeah. Although, to clear up, because we were talking about this in the car, more egotism than narcissism.
Yes,
here.
We're not clinical narcissists.
Yes. Narcissism is a pretty extreme word that gets thrown around less so. But if you're applying it to Trump, accurate. If you disagree with me on that, just read the clinical shit. It's indisputable, whether you like him or not. I want to answer CJ's question because I feel like we shouldn't wait on that one. So, I don't want to not spend time on. I don't want anybody to not get enough time because we're rushing and we decided to record really late on a Saturday for some reason. I mean, because we were together already. But so we're just going to answer the one. You want to like tag team it, Erica, because it's kind of long.
Ooh,
oh, I got it.
Tag team. Right. Maybe next time we could double penetration.
Warning: long message ahead.
Okay. Hey guys and gals, first of all, thank you so much for answering my question in such a kind and thorough way. I gained a lot of perspective from your advice. It has taken 6 months for me to write back into you, but fortunately I can provide further detail on our relationship as it has progressed since I last reached out. For sake of his anonymity, I will refer to my SO as Greg.
Significant other Greg is, I thought his name was Mark in here for some reason. I guess I just made that up. Just for reference, CJ wrote in on episode 191. I thought it said that at the top, but it's not in here.
A brief history. Greg and I met in 2013. I was 21, he was 52. We did in fact meet on Grindr, I know, and have built a beautiful and established relationship over the last 5 years. Here's the thing. I love him, and I know he loves me. We are both very happy in the relationship as a whole, but our sex life is still quite sour. This may proceed into a longer message than expected, simply because it is hard to explain the dynamic without drawing many comparisons. So now for the not-so-great stuff. In the entire 5 years we have been together, we have not had quote-unquote real sex more than about 50 times, and the unfortunate thing is that is a high estimate. Out of those times, I initiated entirely. The times when Greg has initiated sex have only been the times that we have argued about our sex life and something I said caused him to feel guilty. Which leads me to my next point. Yes, we have talked about it multiple times, even gotten into heated all-out brawls about it. I've had him in tears when being honest with how I feel about our sex life, not intentionally of course, and he has consistently promised to change and be more open and sexual as a partner and continuously fallen through with that promise. On the other hand, I still very much enjoy performing oral sex on him, as he is very well endowed and I am very well experienced. However, I can count on one hand the number of times he has done it for me, and what kills me is how much I truly love getting head, yet he makes it seem like such a chore and thus I never receive it. If he'd simply return the favor every now and then, I'd be okay with not having sex that often. So that leaves this weird power differential in our relationship, because whenever I'm horny I feel almost obligated to go blow him. We sleep in separate bedrooms, and mutually love it, to be honest, before he goes to bed. But now he just turns onto his back, takes it, and falls asleep once he's finished. I've spent countless dollars on lubes, toys, enemas, etc. to try and make improvements in the bedroom, but nothing seems to face his inherent laziness towards our sex life. I will say again, I do love him, and I do realize certain aspects within our relationship may cause issues in romance. I work and go to school, both full-time, and he works and runs a business. We operate on opposite schedules, as I write this at 11:35 p.m. If he's too tired, he will turn me down or complain that it's too late. And as sad as it may be to say, I've gotten to the point where I just watch porn and jerk off to even get a slight fix. But as I'm sure the fellas will understand, it's just not the same as someone pleasuring you and enjoying it. Once again, we are happy together. Our life outside the bedroom is great. We go to brunch, take our dog to the park, go on walks, etc. on our days off. But then at night he settles in to watch TV, and I do either homework or work for my side business in my office. I love Greg. After 5 years, I can still honestly say I'm crazy about him. I still find him very charming and attractive, and he's honestly the best thing to have ever happened to me. I'm just simply at my wit's end with our sex life, and after all the discussions and or arguments we've had about it, I'm beginning to feel as if this is how it's going to be for the entirety of our relationship. Before I finish, I will also add that we have remained monogamous the entire time we've spent together. I will be solo traveling through Asia for part of the summer, and I'm worried if I meet someone I'm attracted to, I may end up pursuing them. I don't want to hurt him, but I also am getting to the point where I just want to feel wanted again. I know you all aren't therapists or counselors, although you make fantastic ones, but from being a loyal listener to your show for over a year now, I know you give valuable, honest advice, and it is received from multiple perspectives. And that is what I love most about listening. So thanks again, and sorry for the crazy long message. Keep up the great work. Best wishes, CJ.
It was a very nice message, even if it was long. It's sweet and also
thorough and helpful
and sad. So I'm sorry you've been dealing with this still after all this time. And I wish there's more we could do.
Do you remember what advice we gave him?
Told him to talk about it with him, basically, and then he has now, and that is not apparently solving the problem, which is, definitely something that happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, the guy doesn't have the same kind of sex drive as he does, so that may be what is the case always. I thought of something else while you were reading it, but than what I was coming in with. But I mean, my first thought, I said this to Richard when the question came in because we were in bed, and I wanted to talk about it. And it was it reminded me of a question that Dan Savage gets on his podcast a lot, and usually the answer is DTMFA. I think that's the acronym. Dump the motherfucker already, mm-hmm. which we don't like to do here. We don't like to go that route. As fun as that is, as it's a very fun acronym, but and probably works great on a T-shirt. But I don't like to tell people to break up, and I think that unless it's definitely the way to go, and I think there are still some things to try here. And but I think the question you do need to ask yourself going into these new things is what are you going to do if it doesn't change? What is your decision if things stay exactly as they are? What do you want to do about it? And that's a question that's really hard to answer, but it's something that you, I think, need to be thinking about at this juncture. So that if it's staying with him, despite all of this, if it's not going to get any better, then what are you going to do for yourself to make it better for you? And if you won't, and if it's a deal breaker, then you know that you might want to tell him in advance that is where this is heading. If you try a few things and it's not going anywhere, it not as an ultimatum necessarily, because people tend to react poorly to those, but just being like, listen, I need this in my life. We've tried these other things. I don't know what else to do anymore. I want to be with you, but if we can't change this, then I can't be with you. So and I've done everything I can do. So you need to tell me what we can do. What would you suggest? I have no other ideas left. Or you could talk to him more about it now, but you've had this conversation. The things that come to mind, the first thing that came to mind a while, back when you sent this, was that, polyamory or open relationships or whatever, that seems a little absent from your details, and you're worried about, obviously you're monogamous because you did mention that, but if you're thinking like you might cheat when you're in Asia because you need to get laid, you need to have that satisfaction that he gets and you don't. I'm wondering why that hasn't come up, and if it has come up, then that would be useful to know. The other thing is scheduling it. Get a Calendly account and just send him like, here are the times I'm available. Please choose one. Or more realistically, just being like, when do you want to fuck? Because sometimes you just need to plan it in advance a little bit, and maybe that's what you need to do now. But it doesn't
sound like that's the problem. Because what's concerning to me in this question is that even the times where they do have sex or where the dude wants to do stuff, mm-hmm. he doesn't reciprocate.
Well, yeah,
or he's not into
but that's spontaneous, though. That's the thing. But
if
he's going there and blowing him in his bedroom, and then the guy gets tired after he ejaculates, which is a normal response to prolactin, that's and he's tired at the end of the day, and he's an older guy, so I don't want to stereotype anybody, but generally I can say 10 years ago I didn't get tired so easily. So you get older, you don't have as much energy in reserve, especially later in the day. So maybe it's a timing thing that would help.
He says he can count on one hand the number of times he's done it. So, that's 5 or less, which is really low for 5 years. And in those times, he said it's felt like a chore. So there's never been a time where the boyfriend has been like, I want to give you a head right now, and has been enthusiastic about it. In 5 years?
Yeah, but if it feels like a chore, or doesn't happen, which is worse, and would one of those be more likely to keep you in the relationship? If it feels like a chore, would you be willing to stick it out more for longer, if it meant you still got to be in the relationship with him and you're getting laid?
I don't know how penises work, but if I felt like the person who was going down on me was doing it like a chore, I would prefer that they don't go down on me.
I mean, generally speaking, I would
That's
too.
That's the worst scenario.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know every single detail, so I mean, you're probably
just saying
right.
That's not a good feeling. That's a worse feeling to me than, oh, I'm just tired tonight. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't want to be in a relationship where I chose to have someone perform oral sex on me as a chore.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Richard and I had a similar issue at one point where, I mean, like, I shouldn't say, it's less of an issue more because I don't care really that much now.
But did you feel when you were getting...
No, that's the thing. Is
right,
like,
so that's different.
That's what I think made it work, then why I'm bringing it up, is because I always felt like you never wanted to have sex, but then when we would have sex, I didn't feel like that. And so that was what was...
Because every other example that's special, somewhat similar to this, that I've heard people be like, we don't have sex enough, or my partner has a higher sex drive, or whatever, the person has almost always been like, but when we do have sex, it's great. Or the reason I want it more is because I'm super into this person, and it's really good, and I like it better than masturbating. But in this case, he makes it feel like a chore. And that's like making your partner feel bad about sex.
I have something to say, yes. But everyone bear with me for a couple seconds while I adjust this mic.
Oh, no, you were out of focus. That's what I realized. I was on camera mouthing to you, so that didn't really work very well. But, and then I'm like, oh, are people going to think I'm trying to, like, say something secretly?
No.
This is trying to get you to move into focus, and you're in focus now. So.
All right, so here's what I was thinking is, we don't know the guy's history, the older man's history.
Yeah, we don't know
with
much about
his
Greg.
Previous relationships or how his sex life was in the past. Because it almost sounds to me like this guy might be asexual. Like, he might just not have any interest in having sex whatsoever, and he just doesn't know it.
Idea.
Like, he may not even realize that this is what he is, or that he has this sexuality about himself. Like, because even, as Adam mentioned with us, like, I'm not always, or never am, like, enthusiastic about initiating sex or being like, yeah, let's have sex. Like, I'm not like that. I don't think I've ever been like that.
Yeah.
And but when I'm having sex, like, I'm definitely enjoying it, and I'm in it.
I can tell that, and you're not verbal at all. Like, you'll tell me to shut up if I say something.
Yeah. So like,
it's like,
I think in this case, you have a decision to make of, do you break up with this man, or do you love him enough to be with him, knowing that this may be the case, because that's what it honestly sounds like to me, or he just doesn't have a sex drive anymore, like something along the way happened and he just doesn't have a sex drive, and he loves you. Like, I don't have any doubt that he loves you, but like 5 years, right?
But
that they've been
here's
together.
A question for
we wouldn't have made it 5 years.
No,
if there was a
so
problem.
Richard, let's say that you lost your sex drive entirely, and you already weren't the type of person to initiate sex. So now that you didn't have this,
I can answer this question.
You wouldn't like want to really. Would you still give Adam blowjobs because you know he likes them?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I would in this situation.
I would assume.
Not,
or like to presume that I would, but I don't know.
You would also tell me to just go out and get it.
Yeah, if it was honestly a situation in which I just lost all sex drive, I did not want to have sex. The thought of it just like was not something I want to do. I would tell him like, I love you. I want to be with you. Like, I want us to like still be together or whatever, in whatever way that could be. But you probably need to find sex somewhere else. Like, I just can't provide that.
But if you didn't want to say that because you didn't like the idea of him going out and finding it, and he was like, hey, we haven't had sex in forever, would you give me a blowjob tonight? Would you be like, sure, I love you, and you want a blowjob?
I feel like I would, but I also feel like if I was that much out of a sex drive, I probably wouldn't want to. I'd probably just be like, I can't.
I think you wouldn't want to, but I think you would do it.
I would do it unenthusiastically. Like I don't see how if I got to that point, I could just do it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I think like because you're thinking about what would I do, I don't know because that's so hard to imagine for me. But knowing how you are and just the number of times you'll do things that you do not like to do because you think it's the right thing to do. You do that. Yeah. Like you do that a lot and like small stuff. So I think most of the time, like worst case scenario, you might say after like a year, okay, I'm not going to do the blowjobs anymore. Like I'm sorry, it's bad. Let's figure something else out. But I think you would do it. And during that year or whatever,
but I'm assuming the way I'm talking about it is if I was at the point that this man sounds like he is, because I think like I could be that person for a while. But I'm trying to like if I was getting into that place.
I'm trying to put in the context of our actual lives and who you are, because we don't know who he is. But if it were you in that situation and those were the feelings you were having, I think you would be conflicted about them and you would try to do it anyway, and then eventually be like, I can't. This is.
Wrong. I think that because I'm picturing myself at that point already.
Because you'd be afraid of hurting me by the bad breath thing. Like you'd be cautious about that. Like you won't be cautious about things that you think are small, but when it's something that you think is personal, you are very careful about that.
Yeah. So what my suggestion for this guy is have that conversation with him of like, what were your past relationships like? If you don't know that already, like what were your past relationships like? What's your sexual history like? Have you always been this unenthusiastic about sex? I'm thinking this guy might be asexual. He wants the companionship, but he doesn't want sex. And if that's the case and you're willing to like deal with that, he will probably have to be willing to let you be outside of the relationship a bit.
Yeah.
As far as sex goes.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know where you're coming from or where he's coming from. I mean, CJ, I don't know where you and Greg are coming from on the outside sex issue. You aren't totally opposed to it if you're worried you're going to sleep with somebody else. So it's not out of the, and also most gay people are not, super monogamous. It's not
no one's super monogamous anymore. Like monogamy is so boring.
Yeah. But I mean, like
people say.
I'm not saying gay people.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that.
I'm not saying gay people are like stereotypically sluttier, even though I'm not saying that stereotype is true. I'm saying that, when it comes to
I think
gay
they're
members
just
of straight people, there's a lot less pressure.
I think that they're just more ready to not be monogamous. I think not ready, but like I think that
the conversation comes up more.
I think that they're more aware and realistic about the expectations of a monogamy.
Yes. We talk about gay people like we're not them.
Yeah.
The gay.
I mean, we're monogamous.
Yeah.
But I think we've also had that conversation of like,
no,
at this point,
we had that on the first date.
Like at this point, we are like monogamous. We know that in the future that may not be the case for us. Like it's not like we know for a fact that we're not going to want to be that way, but it's just like we know that could
we don't know
be
we'll
the
be
case
together forever,
right?
But
so
I think we say that in like not like I'm not sure I want to be in this relationship.
But I think
forever,
because
because that happens to everybody.
Because gay people don't live in the normal quote unquote like we don't have normal quote unquote lives and relationships. It's much easier for us to be like, oh, I'm sorry, there's a spider crawling behind you. It's freaking me out. And so we're, as gay people, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm like freaking out right now over the spider.
Okay.
You're not normal.
Anyway, yeah. Well, as gay people, you have to be. I think everybody has to be a little bit more realistic about what's going on. Romantically, do you want to just get up and smush it?
No, I don't want to like kill it. I just don't want it to be here anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, you're gonna have to wait till the show's over then if you don't want to do anything. But it's one. I think you have to be more realistic about it, and it can sound kind of like sad to do that. I feel like every time I say it, it sounds sad. Just close your eyes.
No, ew, that's worse.
Ew.
Okay.
Ew.
All right. I don't know how to help you. I'm just gonna let you do what you got to do there. I think it's a situation where it sounds kind of sad, being like, oh yeah, we might cheat on each other, we might not want to have sex with just each other in the future, like monogamy. I don't know, maybe we won't even be together someday. Like when you put it in that kind of context, it sounds shitty, but it's one of those things where realistically stuff happens. It helps, I think, to think about it in advance. I can say that I personally feel that way. I think it probably is the case with most people too. Like, it's good to talk about those sorts of things, like, how knowing what will happen if something goes wrong, because sometimes you have a kid and it dies, and that is usually like a way to kill a relationship as well.
That's where you want. Sometimes you have a kid and it dies.
No, I'm just thinking of something that's always broken up every relationship I know with a dead kid in it. But that's just like, that's a stereotype that's very accurate. Yeah. It's not everybody, but it's most. And I mean, like, even in Minority Report, like Tom Cruise and his wife, they got divorced, but they got back together when they had another kid. So and he solved the crime.
I don't remember that at all.
Spoiler alert, she got pregnant at the end because it's Hollywood. But realistically, that usually doesn't happen. So, that's, it's one of those things where I think it helps to talk about it, because then when the thing happens, then you actually have something in mind. There's something to do when the situation comes up. You have a framework to discuss it. But beyond that, it's also like can help you stay in the moment and appreciate what you've got. And I think that probably, I don't know definitively. I like to think that it helps make the relationship better every day, because because you know that it could end at some point, and you want to put the effort in for it not to end because you like what you've got. I think that it probably helps in that way, but I don't know. That's hard to prove one way or the other. But then it's also beneficial to be, to know, like, if something could end, just to be appreciative of it in general, whether or not it prolongs the relationship. It's still being aware that you have something good now, even if it's not so good later. Then it makes it easier if it ends, because you can say, you can remember all the times you appreciated it while it was happening. So regardless of where a relationship ends up, it's like, again, to throw back to Dan Savage, I don't know why he's on the mind so much with this one, but he would always say, back in the day or currently, I don't know, because I don't listen right now, but he would talk about how, like, it's not a failed relationship if it ends and you had a lot of good things in it. I think it's important to remember those things, regardless. But in terms of, like, actually fixing it, I think you have to bring up the open relationship thing. I would consider trying to schedule it, like let him do the scheduling, or say, like, this, you pick a day each week. You may have done that already. I don't know.
Well, we
should probably get on the phone with you.
If they are going to schedule it, I think it makes more sense.
Sorry. You find another spider?
It's over there.
It moved to the other side of the room. Okay.
It nearly fell, and it was very scary for a second.
It's a good thing we're not doing the second question, because I don't know how you would survive.
I just think it makes more sense to say what time of day is better for you than what day, because it sounds like he was always trying to have sex with him at night when he's tired.
Well, I think it's got to be both. Yeah, they have the schedule difference, so there's that.
Because, like, if you say Tuesday and then you wake up on Tuesday and you have a stomachache, like, Tuesday's not going to work,
Yeah, but then, so you pick a day and then you pick, like, a backup day. But in case something goes wrong, like, you plan A, B, and C, and then you delete plan C maybe after things are going all right, if it works out. But there's Richard is just like eye locked with the spider, freaking out.
It's staring at me. I'm staring at it.
This is what you guys are missing. If you're not watching the video.
It's not crawling around with its legs. Like, it's so gross.
It's doing what a spider does. It's a little bug on the ceiling. It's harming no one.
Spiders can literally kill you.
Yes. Okay, Roblo.
Some spiders can, but from the looks of that one is not.
You don't know. It could be a brown recluse. It could, like, corrode your finger off.
We need to go. Okay. Good luck, CJ.
It's calling down with its web.
It's descending from the ceiling very slowly
out of his skin
into our hump day season. I'm assuming. Okay. All right.
Slowly.
Richard, you have to go.
Oh, no.
You have to get out of this room.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We'll get to the other questions next week.
Maybe we'll find them by then.
If you didn't like the rest of the episode...
Stop.
Oh, good. This is getting on camera right now. Well, it was nice talking to y'all. We're going to go murder the spider, I think. I'm not sure.
I mean...
I'm going to... if this is
live, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, everything's fine unless it's a fucking spider.
No, I said you could just, take it outside.
Okay, all right. Time to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. I'm going to go commit murder now of a spider, just in case that gets... You have a question, story, comment, or whatever for the Awkward Human Survival Guide? We want to hear it. We read everything we get on the show, censored for your privacy if you wish, and might laugh about your problem because tragedy loves humor, but genuinely want to help you out. If you've got something to share with us, even if you think it's stupid, send it in as anonymously or proudly as you wish. You can do all of that at awkward.email. You just go to http://awkward.email. Oh yeah, and watch the videos on YouTube, youtube.com/awkwardhuman.